morning to you again. It's wonderful to have you here. I wasn't sure how many folks would show up since we were going to worship outside and it was raining and cold out. But I'm glad that you're here. And I'm glad that we're inside. This is a Sunday of advocacy. The third Sunday in the season of creation. We've come through, this is actually the fourth Sunday in the season of creation. We went through pray, learn, act, and this Sunday is advocacy. As it describes in this morning's bulletin, it comes from advocare, which means literally to add voice to. We add our voices to supplement the voices of others, to stand up for those who have no voice, to help make the voices heard from those who aren't given enough hearing, who aren't given enough power to have their voice heard amongst us. Our readings this morning tie into this idea of standing up for others. In our first reading, bless this poor woman's heart. My goodness, she must be exhausted. But in this first reading, she's there standing up for others. She's there to serve all of those around her. She's there to reach out to the hungry and those who are suffering, to ease their journey and to help them. In our second reading, we hear of those dreaming, those with disabilities of many kinds, who, rather than being forgotten or left behind, are dreaming of leading the way into a decolonialized future where all find equal footing, or equal rolling, or equal whatever. However they move through this world, however they think through this world, however we love through this world, however we exist in this world, we share a common human dignity. We share a common image of God. We share that together. And the dream of our second reading is not just to have that recognized, but to make space for leadership to come up from every different place, to lead the way. We hear in our Gospels this morning Jesus lifting up a child. In Jesus' time in the world, children were not just powerless. They were property. They had even less power than women and slaves. If the parents so desired, the children could be consigned to the fire as a sacrifice. Lifting up a child as an example of those we are to serve, to love, to care for, to see as human, to see reflecting back to us God's own face, to see reflecting back to us part of our own selves, to lift up the most disempowered of his society and to show them as having dignity and value. That is advocacy. We are called on as Christ's followers to be advocates for each other, to stand up for as well as with those around us, drawing us together as a strong community with many different voices, many different ways of being and thinking and moving and loving in our world. We are called on to be the kind of people that Christ was as he walked through this world, seeing only through the eyes of love, seeing through God's eyes at the perfect creation each unique human person was made to be. One of my very dear friends, Debian, who passed away this past January, was a model to me of this kind of advocacy. I remember that when I was in seminary is when Hurricane Katrina hit. And I heard Christians who were complaining about the fact that people in the Ninth Ward were being given, as they said, more money than they had seen in their entire lifetimes, as an opportunity to rebuild, to re-embrace their lives and hope friend Devian had grown weary of the hypocrisy of the churches he went to, and so he became pagan. Now, my best dear brother Devian, my pagan friend, during Hurricane Katrina, took a leave of absence from his job, signed up with the Red Cross, and went to New Orleans to help distribute funds, to help feed people. Sorry. To help distribute blankets and clothes, to advocate for those who had everything taken away from them, who had no voice because they were amongst the poorest. As we know, the Ninth Ward is one of the poorest areas in New Orleans. People barely making it, living on the edge. As a community drawn together, they helped each other to survive. And then when Katrina came along, even that was taken away from them. To have my dear friend and brother go and help was something I will never forget. We are called on to be those kind of people that stand up, that reach out, that draw in, that allow others to be whole again, that help others to see their value, their dignity, their strength, that help others to feel loved and know that they matter. Being advocates in our world is something that we do here as well. We have the tireless voice of Merriman Crawford, who's watching from home this morning, to ensure that our folks who can't come in person have the best experience of our worship that they can. We have our folks who, on this past Thursday, held our first community night dinner in a long time, to welcome the food insecure, along with everyone else in the neighborhood who just wanted to come and fellowship and have a meal together. We have our folks who serve at St. Clair's table, who serve at the Rising. We have our sock drive. We have all of these different ways of reaching out into our community to make a difference, to advocate for those who need help. We have those advocating for those who need help for substance abuse. We have those advocating for those who need a place to know that they are safe and loved. As we have learned throughout this season of creation, the prayer for a changed heart, the learning to better serve around us, the action to live out our faith, comes together in advocacy as we seek to live our lives as examples of God's abundance, love, and care for all people. We are called on this Sunday in our readings and in this fourth Sunday of creation to look beyond ourselves to those around us with whom we can stand, for whom we can stand when they cannot stand for themselves. To lift up those who are struggling with depression or anxiety. To reach out and draw in those who feel like they are outcast. To help everyone around us to know that they are loved, that they matter, that they are children of God, and that we see them. Being seen is an incredible gift. And it's something that we can so easily give to those around us. Sorry for the feedback this morning. But as we go out into our world from this space, may we take that with us. That gift of seeing others, of hearing them, and of being willing to stand with them in solidarity, to speak up for them when they are silenced, and to help all of those around us to know that they are God's children and that they are loved. Amen.